Its significant effect on our happiness, a positive thought, carries a distinct charm, a grace that shields us from the pitfalls of obsession. Positive thoughts have a noteworthy trait. They tend not to nag at you as frequently as negative ones do. Contrary to negative thinking, which tends to multiply and tangle us in a web of despair, positive thinking is firm, content with its own existence. The undeniable truth is that our minds, as the architects of our experiences, hugely shape our physical being. A current of energy courses through us, and negative thoughts disrupt this natural current, causing obstructions that echo within. Even traditional medicine acknowledges the link between our current mental state and our physical health, though with different levels of recognition. Most would concede that having uplifting thoughts instead of downbeat ones is preferable. Like I mentioned, negative thoughts interrupt your energy and can ultimately stress you out. Consider the vibe within yourself when you're caught up in stress or continuous negative thinking. The unease, the noticeable response from your body. It's evidence of the fragile link between mind and body where discord interrupts the rightful course of our life energy. Think about when you were mired in negative thoughts. How did your body respond? It's often not a comfortable sensation, is it? It's vital to grasp that negative thoughts wish to breed and spread. They feast on our focus and produce more of their kind. They spread like a brush fire. One harmful thought leads to another. But on the other hand, positive thoughts stand strong, a ray of hope that doesn't need constant replication. They elegantly resist the temptation of obsessive propagation, happy with their simplicity. The mind, often a maze of reflections, can sometimes ensnare us in its complex patterns. However, it's infrequent to find yourself caught in good, obsessive thoughts. But do you know why? It's because positivity, unlike its negative counterpart, doesn't long for control. It doesn't aim to monopolize our consciousness with ceaseless repetition. Because positive thoughts aren't craving the limelight all the time, they're content to act as helpful signals without monopolizing our attention. Imagine the straightforwardness of a thought that says, "Life is great." I'm not talking about some intricate poetic line. It's just a simple way of saying, "Hey, life can be great." Such a positive notion acts as a modest signpost, directing us toward a meaningful appreciation of life. Thoughts like these are like little signboards on the road to pleasant experiences. They don't seek to overbear us. They're just there to hint at something nice. When we entertain thoughts like the one I've just mentioned about life, there's a brief period where we can soak in everything around us and turn it into a sincere experience. When individuals fall prey to these mental infections, their vision becomes skewed, tainted by the strain of a distinct mindset. For instance, spending ample time online can be fertile grounds for these mental bugs. You stumble upon information that seems credible, a mere fantasy that roots itself in your brain, growing and coloring your perception of reality. This scenario is particularly striking in the world of conspiracy theories where, despite a fraction of them might hold some truth, many are baseless stories founded on cultural myths. At times, I reckon the world has gone quite mad, most noticeably in the sphere of politics. I can't deny the plausibility of conspiracies or bizarre happenings. Still, the guidance I offer here is to steer clear of entanglement in conspiracy webs. I truly believe our duty is to be present, to embody a different degree of consciousness, because engaging in conflict at the same level as unawareness is fruitless. Making a real impact requires us to rise beyond turmoil by showing a conscious state that overcomes the mindless patterns that saturate our surroundings. Picking out positive thoughts is a useful measure, but to make a stride, we move into an area that goes beyond thoughts themselves. When we inquire into what's beyond thinking, we witness a natural decline in negative thinking, particularly as inner attentiveness gets stronger with time. The charm of positive thoughts is they may come up out of the blue, and a substantial share of your awareness becomes free of the thoughts that whirl in your mind. A shift toward enhanced attentiveness emerges, bringing about an appreciation for life not by convincing, but through a direct encounter with the present. That is why I often discuss gratitude on this channel. Gratitude isn't just powerful, it spans beyond simple aspects, showing a profound enjoyment of everything around us, which in turn boosts our attentiveness. Over time, voicing a thank you grows secondary. Practicing gratitude can be a mighty exercise on your path, as it enables you to notice the charm in parts of life you might typically overlook. So, make it a habit to appreciate life. The straightforward things like how light dances or the marvel of water with its tiny bubbles, a lively, energizing essence. Appreciation becomes more than a spiritual routine. It becomes a deliberate task of tuning into the world with awareness. It's not merely about expressing thanks, it's about experiencing existence in a state of attentiveness. Everything we come across turns precious, an essential piece of our spiritual voyage. Over time, what seemed like a practice gradually becomes inherent, the cornerstone of sincere living. Gratitude takes up a supporting part rather than being the star, while thoughts act as indicators, gesturing to a scope beyond their own sphere. For a lot of individuals, the gateway to spiritual awareness and self-discovery begins with a sudden cognizance of being ensnared by negative thought cycles that have persisted for years. It's an enlightening moment when one sees the curtains drawn back and they find themselves not tangled, but now spectators of their mental workings. This is the commencement of a transformative spiritual journey. The challenge is to identify the domineering thoughts that have sculpted your life in recent times. It calls for a moment of introspection, contemplating how these thoughts have formulated your views on others, the world, yourself, and your entire reality. This recognition marks a significant jump, signaling that awareness or presence has undoubtedly surfaced. As you wake up to the essence of your main thoughts, a new consciousness unfolds, and you turn into an observer of the mental terrains that once limited you. It's more than simply thinking optimistic or pessimistic. It's about discerning the substance of your thoughts and how they affect your view of life. This elevated attention, this presence, is the spark of spiritual development. It is the beginning of an inward journey that transcends your immediate surroundings, a journey of transformation where thought and consciousness dance in harmony. With increased awareness, you start to realize that life is not solely about the interplay of thoughts, but about the essence of what lies beneath them, the consciousness that observes, the awareness that perceives without judgment nor attachment. This is the peace beyond all thought, a state of being that is not swayed by the temporary comings and goings of positive or negative thoughts. In this space of consciousness, thoughts may arise, but they do not have to rule. They are observed with a detached interest, similar to the way you might watch clouds passing in the sky. Within this realm, you discover a sense of freedom that's not influenced by the content of your thoughts. It's a freedom that rests in your ability to be completely present, to experience life in its fullness without the need for constant mental commentary. As you embrace this newfound peace, you may find that the need for a barrage of positive affirmations diminishes. Not because positivity is unworthy, but because your well-being no longer hinges on the polarity of your thoughts. You achieve a state of equanimity where joy isn't solely a product of positive thinking, but a realization of that which is ever present beyond the transient nature of thought. Through the gateway of silence, beyond the constant chattering of the mind, lies clarity. It's a clarity that often gets overlooked in our noisy world, where social media and the relentless bombardment of information can dominate our attention. However, within silence, we find a respite from mental clutter and access insights that are usually drowned out by the noise. Silence becomes a teacher, a guide that directs us to the understanding of our most authentic self. In this silence, we might encounter the whispers of truth. These truths often announce themselves not as loud proclamations, but as subtle realizations that emerge when the mind is still. They may highlight the intrinsic beauty of the present moment, the interconnectedness of all life, or the profound simplicity that underlies our complex existence. Embracing this silence can sometimes feel challenging in a society that values noise, activity, and constant engagement. But the rewards are profound. Within the quiet, the chatter that often consumes our mental landscape fades, and we are left with the purity of consciousness itself. This consciousness, unclouded by incessant thought, allows us to truly hear, feel, and connect with the life that unfolds around us. It enables us to deeply listen to others, to nature, to our own hearts. And in this listening, we engage with the world and each other on a more meaningful level, where understanding and compassion can flourish. As we begin to prioritize this peaceful silence, we discover that it was never far away, simply waiting beneath the noise. It is always accessible, always waiting for us to return to our natural state of being, a state that is not dependent on circumstances or the ebb and flow of thoughts, but is a constant, unshakable foundation. It is within this space that true creativity springs forth. Freed from the constraints of the ego and the repetitive cycles of thought, we tap into a source that is endlessly inventive and original. We become conduits for ideas and expressions that are not merely repetitions of what has been, but are reflections of new possibilities, new insights, and new ways of being. This creativity is not just about artistic endeavors. It is creativity in living, in problem-solving, in human interactions, and in our approach to challenges. It represents a way of being in the world that is not reactive, but responsive, not mechanical, but intuitive, and not habitual, but inspired. As we practice residing in the silence of presence, our actions become less about striving and more about flowing with the natural rhythm of life. Our decisions come from a place of clarity and insight rather than fear or desire. We begin to act with a sense of purpose and integrity that is aligned with our truest self. The journey beyond thought is not an escape from reality, but an approach that allows us to fully immerse ourselves in reality, with clarity, with peace, and with an open heart. It's a state of existence that brings well-being not from the content of our thoughts, but from the depth of our consciousness. From this place, we not only experience life more fully, but we also contribute to it with greater impact, authenticity, and love. In the next part of this script, we will explore how the practice of observing our thoughts can lead to powerful insights and how these insights can shape our everyday lives, leading to lasting changes in our awareness and experience. For instance, being heavily involved on the internet can serve as a hotbed for these mental predators. You encounter apparently convincing narratives, an utter fallacy that settles in your thoughts, expanding and influencing your outlook. This is especially true in the landscape of conspiracy theories. While some may hold a shred of truth, many are just make-believe fabrications established on a social mythos. Sometimes I reckon our world is plunging into madness, notably within the political sphere. Though I don't dismiss the possibilities of conspiracies or bizarre happenings, my counsel is to avoid getting tangled in conspiracy nets. I believe that our responsibility is to stay present, to embrace an awareness different from unconsciousness, since battling on a level of unawareness is futile. To make a genuine impact, we must transcend the disorder by embodying an awareness that surpasses the mindless routines thrust upon our society. Picking positive thoughts is one step, but we must proceed to a space that transcends thoughts altogether. When we venture into what's above thought, we observe a natural decline in negative thinking, particularly as our inner focus strengthens with time. The allure of positive thoughts is that they can surface unexpectedly, and a significant part of your consciousness becomes detached from the thoughts coursing through your mind. As you pivot towards a greater sense of presence, you begin to relish life, not through persuasion, but through the first-hand experience of the present moment. That's why I often discuss gratitude on this channel. Gratitude is not just transformative, it transcends mere niceties, embodying a profound acknowledgement of all around us, thus intensifying our mode of presence. With time, saying thank you becomes an afterthought. Offering gratitude becomes a powerful habit along your path, for it lets you notice the splendor in parts of life otherwise missed. Practice gratitude for life's basic offerings, the way light shines, the marvel of water carrying vivacious bubbles. This is life, invigorating and essential. Appreciation evolves into a spiritual practice, a deliberate act of engaging with the world by being truly attentive. It's more than saying thank you. It's seeing life through the eyes of full awareness. Everything before us turns valuable, a core part of our spiritual exploration. Initially, it might seem like a practice, but over time, it becomes ingrained, forming the very fabric of your existence. Gratitude stands alongside, not as the main focus, while thoughts merely indicate the way to something beyond their scope. For numerous people, the beginning of spiritual growth and self-actualization starts with an abrupt awareness of entanglement in negative thought habits lingering over the years. It's an enlightening moment when the veils lift and they no longer feel caught, but rather observe their own mental processes. This awakening is the launch point for a profound spiritual journey. The challenge lies in recognizing the main thought patterns that have shaped your life lately. It requires introspection on how these thoughts sculpt your perspectives on others, the world, yourself, and your overall being. This awakening stands as a monumental shift, suggesting that awareness or presence has decisively surfaced. As you become sensitized to the nature of your primary thoughts, a fresh awareness unfurls, and you transition into an observer of the mental landscapes that once constrained you. It goes beyond just thinking positively or negatively. It's about discerning the essence of your thoughts and the sway they hold over how you view reality. This broader awareness, this emergent presence, facilitates spiritual advancement. It is the trigger for spiritual expansion. It's not a mere alteration of thought patterns, but a groundbreaking realization of our capacity to witness. When this occurs, thoughts lose their dictatorial power. Rather than dictating our reactions, they become objects of curiosity, floating by like clouds in the sky of our awareness. Living from this new perspective, the need for continuous positive reinforcement lessens. It's not that the pursuit of positivity is misguided, but the reliance on it becomes unnecessary. Joy and contentment no longer hinge solely on our mental state, but are instead found in the stable presence of our deeper consciousness, which exists regardless of the passing chatter of thoughts. This state of presence, which transcends the tug-of-war between different types of thoughts, grants us access to a clarity that is often muffled by the cacophony of our daily lives. Silence here isn't just the absence of sound, but the space where the voice of intuition and truth can finally be heard. It's in this silence that we can tap into the timeless wisdom that lies beyond the reach of the noisy mind. Embracing this silence is revolutionary in a culture that often equates silence with inactivity or unproductiveness. Yet the realizations that come forth in these quiet moments are anything but inactive. They are the seeds of transformative ideas and insights about ourselves and the world we inhabit. As the noise subsides, our actions and choices emerge from a place of centeredness, driven by the compass of our true selves rather than transient emotions or desires. And this is where the most authentic and impactful creativity blossoms, inspired not by the need to stand out or to conform, but by the genuine expression of our innermost beings. This sphere of inner quietude and clear-mindedness isn't simply a serene retreat. It's the ground from which we can act with greater intention, authenticity, and compassion. It's the vantage point that allows us to behold life not only as we think it should be, but as it truly is, in all its depth and intricacy. Exploring the realm that lies beyond thought, where our focus and awareness are not ensnared by the ceaseless torrent of thinking, we enter a world rich with potential for growth, creativity, and deeper understanding. Here, in the space where thoughts no longer confine or define us, we encounter our truest selves. We engage with the world from a place of profound presence, experiencing an existence that's not diluted by the mind's incessant narratives, but is instead vibrant and full with the simple act of being. Through this exploration, our perspective on life evolves. Freed from the habitual pursuit of certain types of thoughts, we discover the inherent tranquility and richness that life offers when experienced directly. Thus, as we inhabit the present moment more wholly, we contribute to life not with a fleeting sense of well-being derived from thoughts, but from a place steeped in genuine consciousness and connection. This is the essence of the journey beyond thought. It isn't about escaping from reality, but about diving into it with heightened clarity, peace, and empathy. Far from negating the value of our experiences, this profound level of awareness magnifies their significance, enabling us to live with intention and vibrancy and in alignment with the profound nature of life itself. In this state, we are no longer adrift in the sea of thoughts, but anchored in the depth of true awareness. From this vantage point, we can see life anew and interact with it not through the distorted lens of conditioned thinking, but with fresh eyes, open hearts, and a spirit enlivened by the beauty of what simply is. And as we carry this awareness into each new day, our lives are transformed, not by what we think, but by the very reality that we live and breathe in every moment.